heavy on my heart. Seems I've got too much of it since we've been apart. My friends make me smile, if only for a while. You can make me whole again. Looking back on when we first met, I cannot escape and I cannot forget. Baby, you're the one. You still turn me on. You can make me whole again. For now I'll have to wait. But baby, if you change your mind, don't be too late. 'Cause I just can't go on. It's already been too long. But you can make me whole again. Looking back on when we first met, I cannot escape and I cannot forget. Baby, you're the one. You still turn me on. You can make me whole again. Looking back on when we first met, I cannot escape and I cannot forget. Baby, you're the one. You still turn me on. You can make me whole again.
Oh, 2024. I've been waiting another 12 months. Talk about all those movies. I saw so many movies this year, there's not even enough time for an intro. Favorite character of the year, Cosmo.
I can find anyone. Anywhere. Go. Okay.
Favorite performance of the year, Josh Hartnett in Trap.
Hey, what's with all the police trucks outside and the cameras everywhere, Jamie? Something happening?
Favorite line,
Nobody can just disappear,
What?
can they? Disappear.
No, of course. What the fuck are you talking about? Where were you?
favorite soundtrack, The Colors Within.
Wanted to know you the minute I saw you. It hit me like lightning, and I know that the colors are peeping inside you. You wanted to hide, but I went out to find you.
Favorite fight, all of Calciade. This was a year of twisters and crowd pleasers, of proper movie stars, and most of all, monkeys.
What a wonderful day!
Robbie Williams, what are you playing at? You haven't been relevant for the first 28 years of my life, and then you drop a musical biopic so strange, so off-kilter. I can't help but clap at the cheeky chappy. I hate musical biopics. But Better Man is like a product of true egomania, the kind that we actually don't see anymore. It's such a strange anomaly as to think how this even got made in the first place. How we got to keep in so many uses of the C word and women flashing tits. That's in the movie. There's been conversations upon conversations of Americans simply not understanding how this got made, and it's like, we don't have a better answer either. Don't look at us. Maybe the most uncommercial film of this year, quite funny. Play that TikTok.
For the next 2 hours, your ass is mine!
Me with the floor show, kicking with your torso.
Yeah, that's it. Despite having a giant monkey, the film lands almost all of its earnest beats. There's an Avengers Endgame level battle in a CGI wasteland. Played to the tune of Let Me Entertain You. I wanted the people in the cinema to pinch me, just so I could appreciate second to second this movie was really happening. Delightfully bizarre. Lame as all hell. I am not a Robbie Williams fan, and it's one of those musicals that sadly does one big blitz of a music number just to show you that it can, and then spends the rest of the runtime on musical motifs and slow romantic ballads. Boo! I feel like this had to be a monkey movie, because if you just cast somebody as Robbie Williams, or God forbid the man himself, it would possibly be the most obnoxious movie of the year. There are many kind of stories. Man versus environment, man versus society, monkey versus establishment, monkey versus record label, monkey versus baby version of same monkey. Yeah, there's a part where he, like, kills a screaming child version of himself. Loved it to pieces. A monkey held a shank and threatened Robbie Williams whilst he was performing on stage, and I just burst out laughing. He takes a lot of cocaine. That's a naughty monkey. Caesar would never. Let's talk about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Big confidence, big time skip, a big bright light for where a franchise can go after 3 installments. Or 16. Here's the thing with these movies. Erin won't even acknowledge them. Some people see a movie that looks like this, following characters like this, and they will not engage. I get it. It's a story about monkeys living in a post-human monkey world. They've made a few of these things by now, but I think this is a hard sell as a summer blockbuster. But when you go with it for a second, and James Franco is way out of the picture, anyone with a love of rich, dialogue-heavy sci-fi should be on board. Anybody who loves movie making and achievements in movie making, you should be on board. Me personally, I was here for Mr. Monkey.
Apes will learn. I will learn.
This is Proximus, who I think is the most terrifying villain of the year, despite being so incredibly charming. This hungry, vulnerable symptom of the species. Here's a villain who loves us. He loves his predecessors, much like the now mythical Caesar did. But he's obsessed with all the wrong parts. He wants to fast forward to the Roman Empire. He hears all of our ancient history, all of our mistakes of a now dead society, and he gets told them as bedtime tales. A mad monkey king is taking history classes so that he can open a vault to get to nuclear weapons. This is the plot of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Rise of the dawn, of the dark of the moon, of the war of the planet of the apes.
With the concept of evolution.
I can't get over it myself. Look at this cast of characters. I love living in scenes with them. And all of them are right. All of them are in the right and have been dealt a bad hand by nature. It's so refreshing to have one of these monkey movies, and they are beautifully made by Matt Reeves to this point, that doesn't have an A-lister playing the same tired, desperate, broken, human army male general. I got so sick of that formula. Just make him a monkey. The previs on this movie, insane. On Disney Plus, you can watch this film, beginning to end, before they put the CGI on them. This has to be an actor's dream. Shakespeare with simians. And so much of it is practical and in camera and labor intensive. They are doing demanding stunts moment to moment in what most people are gonna assume was all CGI. And when you're seeing them side by side, the expressions are one to one. There's so much brilliant set design and location scouting that wasn't made in a computer. And I just got the sense from watching this very rare bonus feature that if it could be done on the day, in camera, for the actors, they did it. I don't agree with the end twist, and I think it undoes the entire premise of what we were doing here. On to the next one. Woo! Godzilla vs. Kong the New Empire. Oh, are you not embarrassed, Wingard? Are you not embarrassed, Adam Wingard? Because I was. Sat there in the cinema watching a fake blockbuster with a bizarre amount in common with Revenge of the Fallen with my father, with my actual father. I take that personally. I vouched for your movie. Not too long ago, I was calling the monsterverse the ideal way to set up a universe franchise, allowing for variety and directorial tone of voice. But then they handed it over to a hack. If only this movie had half the personality of Revenge of the Fallen. Oh. King of the Monsters is hardly high art, but this makes it look like Citizen Kane or, well, Godzilla. New Empire coasts off of better monster movies and even better Monkey Punches lizard movies. Saturday morning cartoons deserve better. It reeks of the fake films you'd see in The Bubble or The Boys. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in a vague jungle landscape. Wingard is a hack who fails upwards. This film begins with King Kong's morning routine, and somehow it ends with him getting a robot arm and defeating the ice lizard. Yeah, I don't know. Another movie franchise for the pyre, throw it in the trash. Monkey movie! See, at first I thought this year was going to be a Twister summer. I thought it was going to be summer of the Twister, but I was actually very wrong. It was a summer completely dominated by monkey movies. Here's Monkey Man, not to be confused with Better Man, even though that would be a more suitable name for that movie, and Monkey Man is better man. Dev Patel takes on a John Wick project. There's been lots of fakers coming for the crown. Monkey Man is so good, self-explanatorily so. They killed John Wick last year, so heartthrob stick insect Dev Patel got big and stepped in. Look, you've seen this one many times before, but when the action is this slick, like, who cares? The set pieces aren't new, but the choreography and martial arts style and the music, I think they are. At one point, Dev Patel is taken in by a trans retreat of warriors, and they follow him into battle at the end like it's fucking Marineford. Monkey Man shows me facets of Indian culture that are truly new to me, but it's the energy that makes this one fly by. Even by John Wick standards, insane violence, banging music, gorgeously shot, not a real monkey in sight. Disappointment. 2 out of 10. Taking a bit of a left turn now into one of our non-monkey movies of the evening. Correct me if I'm wrong. Zone of Interest. A film about the sheer power of suggestion. This could be the darkest film ever made. Well, I guess I was asking for a biopic to try something a bit different. Careful what you wish for, I guess. I couldn't wait for this fantastic film to end. Amazing experiment in sound. I was certainly surprised when I saw the 12A rating. Hey, this film trains you. It trains you! At the beginning of the film, the screen was black for a good 5 minutes. Some staticky faded noise is playing. People thought the screen was obviously broken, but it's telling you what to do. It's telling you to listen and to fear how this film sounds. Because the next door concentration camp is out of sight, out of mind, but you can hear it. A perfect visualization of the subject's worldview. Who's this film about? Well, it's the biopic about a clinical, boring fascist treating humanity's biggest atrocity as a desk job. For better or for worse, this is his movie, and the cowardly facade he deserves. If you haven't heard the acceptance speech director Jonathan Glazer gave at the Oscars, refuting his Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation, it's pretty essential listening. In Zone of Interest, I think about the displaced homes and the normalization of the unforgivable. And I just think it's the film that we deserve. A horrid thought, and yeah, it's a horrid movie. But whilst it is the perfect version of itself, it's admittedly a bit one note. It has to be dry and it has to be droll by design, but it would have been a better short, right? As each scene feels like it is reiterating its sound design / visual dissonance trick. It's shot flatly because the film is presented so objectively that the camera doesn't have to emotionally manipulate you. You're seeing everything as is. Judge away. Low on character and low on performance, so it's just the bare basics of sound that will have to do the heavy lifting for 2 hours. Listen, I never want to see a formulaic biopic ever again. Not when stuff like this can be done with the genre. The Nazi Germany fatherland fantasy, it doesn't even work when the scenic lakes are poisoned with corpses. You can't have the picturesque nuclear family when there's no love in it. Empty people in an empty house in an empty film.
All our choices were made to reflect and confront us in the present, not to say, look what they did then, rather look what we do now. Our film shows where dehumanization leads at its worst.
You ever notice how the return to tradition, return to your ancestors' paradise, that fantasy is super bougie? And lo and behold, here we have characters picking through dead people's belongings. So much of this is just cold, frank grave robbing. There's nothing natural about the furnace of bodies next door. Even in your fantasy, there are servants and capital. Our female lead of this movie demands to be called the Queen of Auschwitz. Stupid hair and stupid old woman gaits. The type that you only see in old movies. Another amazing, frustrating performance. She's one of the most hateable things I've seen all year. In a hateable year. The only character in the film who shows any actual spite or acknowledges any of this as out of the ordinary. But this Nazi Fräulein cannot handle even a fraction of her stolen home being taken from her. This flick will teach you the hard way the distinction between humanizing and sympathizing. It's an evil, textured soundtrack of screams. Really twisted music choices that it did win the Oscar for, naturally. It was the film with the most sound, after all. It's not the sort of film that gets Best Actor. Zone of Interest is profoundly uninterested in Hoss himself, Hoss as a man, as an individual, and from some of the extracts I've read from his trial, I'm grateful of that. The most interesting parts of Hoss's life aren't in the film. All it wants from him is the evil admin, the palpable misery of his dream life, and this wretch. Listen, if you do watch this, just remember that his story does not have a happy ending. Next, Civil War. Is there a monkey in Civil War? Civil War, on the other hand, is the film that refuses to hide anything. Absolutely refuses to desensitize you. Oh, he'll try. This film is loud and this film is intense. I'm already plenty scared of the average modern American, but I've never been this afraid of gunfire. Brilliant sound design. Fair enough if you think this movie is pussyfooting around the politics, but please do try and appreciate it technically. And on the topic of those politics...
What's going on?
Someone in that house. They're stuck.
Who do you think they are?
No idea.
Are you WF? Who's giving you orders?
No one's giving us orders, man.
Shut the fuck up.
Civil War is not about any one moment in history or any one side. A blisteringly unpolitical movie, released into a climate that is not hospitable for it. Kirsten Dunst's character moves through Civil War as if numbness were her wisdom, her superpower. She offers desensitization as a survival ethic and pushes it time and time again. But the film, Garland refuses the comfort of that posture. It understands that dissociation is not neutrality, but abdication, a luxury an empire in collapse can no longer afford. Emotional anesthesia will not save you. Alex Garland has made the scariest, most intense film of the year, and it's put him off of making more. Alex, Men wasn't that bad. Yeah. Guy, no, come back. I think audiences did him dirty. I think audiences actually didn't get it. This film is true terror. Warzone jump scares and excessive, irresponsible use of Jesse Plemons. Keep an open mind. What the fuck were they thinking with that marketing campaign?
We're in the golden era of soulless slob.
Poor Things was the funniest film of the year. I can't believe it won Best Picture, because it's also one of its strangest. Love to see it. This is Emma Stone's best role in an already very cool career. It's Lanthimos' best script and DOP Robbie Ryan's prettiest film of, whoa. Maybe it isn't surprising that this one hit the mainstream without making any concessions for Best Picture. But let's not pretend to ignore the moments of adorkable Tumblr humour. There's plenty of it in there. Very often twee can be used for evil, and I think this film skirts that. Maybe it's unavoidable with the cutesy baby in a woman's body premise. Hilarious accents, actors being allowed free reign of the sets, unaddressed pedophilia. Willem Dafoe's character is an all-timer, old and cynical but still as new to the world in his dying breaths, and naive as Bella is. I got everything from him. The Doctor's final lines, they just wind me, because there's the film.
She grabbed my hairy business.
She learns about herself, she liberates herself by studying the difference between damaged and damaging men. Would happily watch this every year if I just knew when to put it on. Christmas dinner with the family. Maybe not. But hey, it's on Disney Plus. They market Disney Plus with this now. It's bizarre how accessible it is for a movie that is this odd and this explicit. But it really is the humour that bridges the gap between, I don't know, Sacred Deer and Academy Darling that can be used in marketing. It's all about the comedy, this one. There's so many jokes and script flourishes that are mostly about threatening to kill women in different ways. But I'm sorry, these line reads run the film. I think Aaron and I smiled at each other every other minute. We also had a fight at one point about whether this would be called a chug or a duck. More Lanthimos, more stone, more Defoe, please. Kinds of Kindness had us sorted. Kinds of Kindness. 3 films in one, and Poor Things in close succession gave us a lot of Lanthimos this year. Kinds of Kindness is more of a return to actual, lobster-style Lanthimos Disturbia. You won't see this on the homepage, and what a shame, because it's better. May I recommend sending the Emma dance to TikTok? That's my job, that's what I do now. I haven't cracked much of this movie, but perhaps it's about the specificities of power dynamics, the awful formal bonds that people can share. Dogworld is a key plot point, with no elaboration made. Listen out for Dogworld, mentions of Dogworld in this film. Yeah, these 4 actors are here to swap roles and brutally confuse and upset you. It's so alluring, though. Their faces lose all meaning by the end. It's a real favourite. Wild Robot! DreamWorks, don't get discouraged from Puss in Boots' pretty major flop, and keep putting out films with real artistry to them. Pixar, who? Disney just won in the picture this year, and so we got Wild Robot and Orion in the Dark, and well, one of those was good. Wild Robot comes very close to being a forever classic. I think it could have been a timeless movie, but some of the celebrity voice casting and the just line deliveries dated. They make it seem like a smaller project than it is. Guys, you had Wall-E here. And then there's Orion in the Dark, which is more interesting. This one was no good. There's another DreamWorks film in here later. This one was just cheap. You can't hide behind style on this one. I see him moving around like Jimmy Neutron characters. It's got a lovely dark premise that brought me to the movie in the first place, but even kids deserve more than this rigid formula. Kids should be taught about existential dread. Ideally right away. They'll go into this film to overcome a fear of the dark or the boogeyman, and they'll come out with an adult phobia instead. Good stuff, on paper, but it seems that I am in fact 29 years old, and thus it did not work on me.
Dark, come on! You can't be in the light! You can't be where you're not! You'll disappear!
I'm willing to risk that possibility.
Okay.
I would have banished him to the realm of the light, I can tell you that much. Roadhouse! Oh, yeah! Roadhouse! Well, this has been a ride this year. My favourite actor, my favourite cool guy actor, actually getting a cool guy role. Not being cast as some seedy perv. Gyllenhaal puts on his action gear, and I reverted to such a macho, hell yeah, brother, version of myself that it was embarrassing. There's some mad CGI use in here. It's not got 2 brain cells to rub together. It's a remake of a cheesy neo-western with Patrick Swayze, I believe. It was really out of character for me to be so ride or die for this, but I loved it. Then I found out later in the year that the main villain is played by a rapist. So, fuck it. All of us strangers. Oh my god. How much pain does it take to create a film like this? It's so worn. Of course, this is an adaptation of a novel written by a sad, soulful Japanese author. That reads perfectly. Stories like that are my life force. But it's British, it's classy, it has anal sex. It'll break your heart. It'll make you reassess your relationship to your parents through time travel. Are you seeing what I see in this? I think that this will be the best film of the decade. I mean, it's already the best of the year. All of Us Strangers rewards you and punishes you for your own sentimentality. I mentioned this last time, but I have a habit of pitching depressing, devastating movies as rom-coms to my friends, just to see what happens, just so they might come along with me. But taking my workmates to this with that pitch? Oh. The 3 of us were not prepared for it. Gay nightmare after nightmare. An adult horror. Super personal time travel is the single best story fiction has to tell. I truly believe that. It's about the crushing loneliness that eats at people. how both your family and the gay experience are forever fractured. And also, I think, the hope that those two things, family and the gay experience, can coexist. I cried 3 times. When I wasn't crying, I could hear an auditorium crying in my stead. Russell T. Davies might point an accusatory finger when he tries this material. This film makes me laugh warmly at the familiar British voices, the paternal and maternal stereotypes that you spend so much of your life hating. This film loves its mum. It loves its estranged dad and all of their strange, unflattering idiosyncrasies. That it puts something like It's a Sin into perspective. But of course I think that way. This film's designed to be a rose-tinted fantasy that lets you enjoy all the stigmas that can push you into solitude. Just a painful experience all round, but even one shot in this is more profound than everything else I saw this year combined. I want to hug my parents for coming to check on me when I cried. It was so deeply personal to see a film acknowledge that I still want them to do that sometimes, and probably always will. And to their credit, they did. Not one resentful bone in this film's body, and that's largely down to the main 3, Foy, Belle, and Mescal. Thank you. Thank you for playing every mum. Thank you for playing every British dad. And it's probably about the masculinity and femininity they teach you. I went into this film pretending I didn't like Andrew Scott. And, I'd learned the hard way that Andrew Scott is actually a fucking phenomenal talent. That said, glad I didn't watch it with the old man. We had Dune. We had Dune Part 2 this year. And that's fine. That's for us. You could probably call Dune Part 2 an unremarkable 10 out of 10. Pretend that makes sense for a second. I probably don't have much to say about it. I feel like I'm only talking about it because I meant to, rather than having anything to say that I didn't say last time. So what is different? Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya, they seriously raised the bar. Any minor changes made from the book are for the better. He has to make a lot of calls to make this strange old story focused. There's still plenty of weird elements and flavour though. Some say Austin Butler went so method that he got an Elvis accent from his previous role, and an incest kink from this one. He's just that method. What a pro. Denis brings the sci-fi prestige. We know this. I think Stilgar is the highlight for me. He breaks my heart. The pacing near the end kind of feels like I have a concussion. This is not Lord of the Rings where we are really enjoying our action set pieces. I do take issue with the pacing of the thing and where they chose to split off the 2 movies. Yeah, absolutely. But there also probably wasn't a right answer to that. I loved it, but nothing beat going in blind the first time round. I miss Oscar Isaac. I think I prefer part 1. The first part was so hypnotizing to me, whereas this truly was more of the same. Perfect Days. Dignified and meditative. That's what I was in 2024. Perfect Days is the daily schedule of one bathroom cleaner in Tokyo, and it will become your schedule by the end. There's certainly a plot and there's certainly characters to talk to, but you'll also remember the little pleasures. Putting on a favourite song, or reading a book in a sunbeam. It describes itself as a character study, but even that's a little too formal, I think. Let's not go overboard. It's just a nice, simple, laid-back experience. Hirayama lives a content, kind life, and the film will go at his pace as a result. It's special because it's so without judgment. That might put off some, I think. I don't know, describing a film this subtle and minimalist, it seems a bit pointless. It's really good. Give it a watch. Paddington in Peru.
You look so happy. Like you never left.
That's not Mrs. Brown. Mr. Brown has taken a mistress, and no one's saying anything. The kids especially, but that's more so because they don't get any fucking lines this time round. Paddington 3, more like Paddington disappointed me. I can't believe it, the little bear, he let me down. This was strangely one of the big disappointments of the year, alongside The Election. It's just too generic a family film to convincingly sit next to the other 2 pretty prestige pictures. The first two Paddingtons are family movies that are rightly revered, for good reason. Wes Anderson adjacent, perfectly balanced quirk that poses very adult questions and answers them by bringing them down to a child's level. That's Pixar, that's Doctor Who, that's perfect family media. We're big Paddington fans on this channel, okay? I think they're really mature movies, by using childhood innate kindness to belittle bigots. What does it mean to be a good Brit? What do immigrants add to our community? It's made obvious, be a good neighbour, but it's explicitly what these films were about. It's not Ken Loach, but it certainly wasn't Paddington goes on a CGI jungle adventure to find El Dorado, was it? The most cookie cutter mold possible. We're above this. And anybody who accepts this as a worthy sequel probably doesn't deserve the first two. No Peter Capaldi, no London. Somehow they made Olivia Colman irritating. Every single beat is a callback to previous better movies. And the end credits had a better premise than the movie itself. Sorry for losing my manners. It's just, he won't answer my DMs on Twitter. I realise how I look getting this mad over a kids film, like I'm the fucking nostalgia critic, but I hate fakers. And that bitch is fake. The Holdovers is my new favourite Christmas movie.
Christ on a crutch. What kind of a fascist hash foundry are you running here?
The Holdovers is itself a holdover from 2023, only getting released in the early days of the year. It's another Scrooge story about lonely, displaced people when things feel their loneliest. His heart grew 5 sizes that day. Really, I just never realised that I love Giamatti this much, right? Despite the whole project being framed around him, it's not a showy role. I don't think it was a shoo-in for the Academy. You'll focus on his funny eye as the key acting decision, but there's 100 of them. Paul Giamatti inhabits this foul-smelling tutor. He's fully realised as he bonds with this young student. He exists, All 3 of them do, and they always have. It's the type of film I come out of and wind up being sad about not getting to see those people again. What it does do is practically all of the worst modern cliches in the world. Every trope I hate in modern movies is here, and I almost don't care. As the ick of a character ironically echoing someone's words back to them later, or the hamminess of the road trip and third act breakup. I hate that tired stuff, but this is the best I've seen it. The kid is 17, unbelievably 17. So I can believe he would do this stuff and act that way. And Giamatti arguing back with him and sinking to his level, that's the scene! I can't be mad at a trope like that, and that's just one example. It's 3 near strangers discovering that they're all what each other needed in that moment of time. When they go to dinner, near the end, it really feels like an honest family, and it doesn't lay it on thick once. It's not revolutionary, it's not perfect, I certainly know it's not original, but I remember thinking how sweet it would be if a pleasant hug of a movie took the Oscars. It's great to see Giamatti's journey, becoming a true, actual mentor figure to somebody. And they are chummy, they get chummy really quickly. But it is a fantasy, I think, for both student and teacher. And the fact that they shake hands so early on into the runtime, it leaves lots of movie left. I don't know, just a film with a lot of respect and a lot of goodwill, and that's yo-ho, that's Christmas time to me. The next movie is On Falling. Oh, look at that, cheers. Sam's crying. You think you're tough, huh? You think you're tough, director Laura Carriera? You got me crying in public again. You think that's big? You think that's smart? The best films this year weren't just about the Roman Empire. They were about solitude. People who have made their peace with loneliness, and people who live in an invisible hell. The main character of this, a Portuguese warehouse worker, a kablam scanner. She's the type of character that will burst into tears at the touch of another human being. That's the kind of intense, desperate yearning we're talking about in On Falling. It's a Scottish film that I'm shocked didn't win the whole London Film Festival. It was just amazing, watching the young cast and crew breaking down the working conditions of the algorithm-driven gig economy so compassionately. I sat next to the assistant producer, who might have been chatting me up, but I sincerely meant it when I got up and said they should all be super proud of working on something this real. I'm an only child. I can enjoy my own company, personally, but there's absolutely something to all of the stories of loneliness and unfulfillment coming after COVID, and from this generation who are stuck in a world that just won't have us. I get that, more than you know. It's a world that we apparently built for ourselves. It was designed this way. I think I fell in love with our main character, Aurora, despite her admitting to having no personality or interests. In the job interview, I'm gonna try that one next time. It's relatable, and it makes me feel alive to see somebody so displaced, The Walking Dead, so eaten by their economic situation. Hell, hell, hell. Why won't you love or see us? I'm gonna introduce these two to each other. Next film. No, sorry, I'm back onto All of the Strangers. Gonna talk about it some more. I discovered this year that my motive and philosophy with movies isn't as unique as I thought it was. Films are empathy machines. That's what the late film critic Roger Ebert called them. And I apparently came to this same conclusion completely independently. As a result, I've grown to love and fear movies that see me and raise me a challenge. If something can play me, involve me, remind me that I have an open mind, they'll go down as a favourite. I'll remember that movie forever. I think Britain's stock, sad, gay media, I think it's our chief cultural export. God, just living in the shadow of COVID and AIDS. Basically, the point I was making is All of the Strangers gets me because it catches me off guard. It changes my mind. It reminds me I don't know everything. I say all that as a secret segue to Strange Darling.
How did I get so lucky tonight?
Strange Darling caught me off guard with how simple it is. It's a simple point on a complicated topic, and I can't tell you a thing about it, because it would ruin it all. Strange Darling is a magic trick of a movie that keeps me on my feet even after finishing it. Watching this thing, it triggers my fight or flight reflex. A woman is shot off the road by a pursuing man with a rifle. When she finds an old house in the woods, she winds up putting the old couple who live there in danger, as we find out how the gunman and the victim originally met. And it's told out of order, which really should have been my first clue as to what this film is doing. It's just a really well-made story. There's two lightning performances from Carl Gowner as the demon and Willa Fitzgerald as the lady. This is an empathy machine to the max. There's more to it than just that. Spoiler, empathy can go unchecked without proper context. And Strange Darling has some glaring omissions of that to test its viewer. If it weren't for how well performed and edited this is, the twist could even come across as the oldest gotcha in the book. But isn't it interesting that I'm not above it? It still got me. There's a total flip-flop from both characters throughout that leads to this really precarious, cautious and scary atmosphere, messing with the line between sexual thrill and true danger. You know, how women probably feel on a night out. This film turns off the fun so many times, and it made my blood run cold each and every time it did it. It has the best ending ever, obviously I'm not gonna tell you what it is, and it really drives home the moral of not underestimating people. Surely, with all of the gendered games throughout, its greatest twist is that it was actually a very simple movie, all along. I tried thinking back through the film for a motivation for why the killer did what they did before realizing, no, Sam, stop that. You're still trying to justify them, even now. I don't know, man, this film's playing games with me. It's getting in my head. Lion Girl. Lion Girl. Lion Girl. That's lying, girl. Maboroshi! 2024 was a huge, huge year for anime. Every year has been, really, since Demon Slayer made $100 million and Chainsaw Man raised the whole industry's game overnight. So what do we do with anime features now? Full-length movies, when a lot of TV is movie standard week to week. Well, we put on the Netflix movies, we show up for them. Mid, good, mid. Yeah, they're just not bringing it like they usually do. These ongoing shows are just too good. And the standard for animation has accelerated by crunch and audience expectation that much that My Hero Academia 4, the last one, has nothing really to write home about. And this is a gorgeous film with a lot of good action. What I'm saying is, anime fans are spoiled now. The Imaginary. That was really amazing holiday viewing, and there's, of course, Look Back. Oh my god. Look Back will turn you into an inconsolable baby, and it'll break your heart even further when you Google if it's a biopic at the 20-minute mark, like everybody else did. But it's January's Maboroshi that I want to discuss, because it feels like it should be in my top 10, but it isn't. This is a movie about ghost parenting from the past. All of the characters are grief ghosts, haunting up the place. Two kids look after a mute, feral child before it goes truly ethereal. Maybe it's a little bit pretentious, high concepts. They mean the same thing, it just depends how charitable you're being. But Maboroshi, it is a bit pretentious, in only the way that anime films manage to find. It's a supernatural, coming-of-age mystery about how debilitating love can be. I mean, that's what I saw. But even when my favourite trope is brought back into play, it still loses me. The second half is ultra forgettable, like real forgettable. I haven't said anything about it in this review. Like, I feel bad about reviewing it with so much that I've forgotten. But it still feels like something special that just gets unceremoniously dropped onto Netflix. Maybe it's because it's Mappa. It's their movie debut. Mappa, I don't know if you know, they're kind of the big dog in anime at the minute. They are the ones who, as I said previously, raised said bar. And I think it's really curious that this is the direction they took for a debut. Maybe something horror or action oriented would have done way better. Ultimately, it still ends up doing the Shinkai boy meets girl beats. Your Name had such a damaging effect on this scene that I'd say 5 films from Japan try and copy it every year. And I see the DNA in here, in a derogatory way. Conclave! Cardinal Lawrence is a messy bitch who loves drama. Don't tell me the gossip, we're sequestered. What do you mean, bro? You asked for the gossip! From pitch alone, this was so obviously gonna be a good one. And yeah, Deus es salmon bonum. This is a best actor performance. Somehow, of all people, Ralph Fiennes, at his age, you know, Voldemort has made himself Hollywood's biggest star in the space of like 3 years. And then you see a film like this and you completely understand why. His face is the main source of all of this film storytelling. And it's a very enviable role for an actor because of it. Can Cardinal Lawrence keep his conclave unified and his own nature in line? I think, as the little atheist boy I am, that crisis of faith movies run the risk of communicating nothing that 1,000 movies haven't done before. I would argue Man vs. God is a book that is already finished. But Conclave, it does have new to it. In no way is it just talking about the church. The end message is quite blatantly, neoliberalism cannot save you. It might be my new favourite political thriller. And it's coming at the perfect time for it. For that moral to be heard. Oh my god, the thankful look that Cardinal Lawrence gives Benitez at the end of the movie. Without a word having to be said, This film has a radically idealist moral at the expense of its pretty likeable main character, but also a pitiable one, I guess. It's embarrassing. It is. It's embarrassing to live that long and still not know yourself. And so you get a really gutsy, perfect ending. Yeah, fucking loved Conclave. I ain't afraid no ghost. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Now I have to stress, Sony are a client of mine. One time I was offered to run the Ghostbusters social accounts. I refused. Ghostbusters has never looked sadder. At this point, 80s sci-fi fans should be dragged out of their homes by a kind of Gestapo for what they've done to our stopped, infantilized, Ouroboros culture. Finally, they have to progress past their Force Awakens wannabe moment that refuses to stick and make something that might actually reach a child. Appeal to a kid. But how do you expect to do that when it's being delivered by a Nepo baby, obsessed with the moment of pop culture that their dad fell onto? I hate this motherfucker. Listen, we're all proud of our dads, buddy. But you don't have to bust out the old sad men in their boiler suits from 40 years ago. Again. That'll get the kids running. That'll get them in. We have a viable franchise over here at Sony. In my opinion, it's limp and it's tired. It's just sad that we wheel these opportunities out to any IP, no matter how desperate things have gotten. Then I look at the other films of this year. Another Alien, another Gladiator, another Twister, Beetlejuice 2, another Omen. Listen, some of those were okay, but this was a summer of sequels that just nobody asked for, when it feels like we are at least 2 decades over it. There's just no attempt to win over current audiences. Call this guy Russell T. Davis, because this museum piece is wasting its final chances at relevancy. 3 opportunities deep. It's like a panda. Ghostbusters clearly doesn't want to survive. It doesn't want to procreate. Hey, if that's the truth, let's not force them. These reboots, for these IPs, they are vain attempts at conservation at this point. We just have no use for you anymore. Go on, bust another budget on your undignified way out. I have no patience for sequel culture this year. All of the top performing films were sequels, and we've been at the bottom of this barrel for so long now. American Fiction. This family will break your heart. American Fiction was the quickest add to the top 10 list in a good while. All the way back in January, I had it deadlocked. American Fiction has a really unique brand of cynicism. Even though on paper it's just Spike Lee's film Bamboozled, this film comes at the commodification of the black experience from a more character-focused and human angle. I think Bamboozled is more of a sketch, or it has the priorities of a skit, whereas American Fiction is balancing all of that with some real drama. Jeffrey Wright in this movie is about to get humbled. Humbled socially in a way he didn't even know he had to be. And the film's very premise gets taken apart alongside him. The interpersonal pain and heartfelt family drama is the heart of this. Or maybe it's just Sterling K. Brown absolutely stealing the show that makes me remember it that way. American Fiction is a deeply frustrated film that wants you to feel in on the joke before pulling the rug out from underneath you. It's hilarious and has a brand of snark that I don't really associate with Americans. If I was still writing essays, I could give you one on every main relationship in this thing. I love these guys. It's the most believable movie family I've seen in recent memory. If I got the elevator pitch and the pitch alone, I would have stayed far away. I would have written it off as pretentious, witticisms and rich people problems. But the film knows. The film knows. It's on side. You take their money and you live. You live your life. American Fiction might present the best argument for selling out ever. Blink twice. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. A multi-millionaire invites two girls to join him for a party holiday on his private island, where things obviously, presciently, go very bad. Similarities aside from current news stories, and even news stories from last year, this film is topical in too many ways. I don't really like joking about this topic. Rape is not in, but it's odd because the scarier that Blink Twice gets, and the rapier that Blink Twice gets, the funnier the movie becomes. Whenever a revelation happens, the movie reacts to it with a tonal shift that I cannot understand. But it works? I have no idea what genre to go with. Channing Tatum's in a romance, the side cast are in a comedy, and the leads are in a conspiracy thriller. It's so unique. It balances it all. The film is fucked, and when it finally drops its nuclear signposted twist, it's more about how the film reacts to its own development than the characters do. But they're great characters as well. Channing Tatum's self-hating sociopathy is dense, pretty complex for a film like this. And if you're open and receptive to following it through all of those tones, I think this is going to be a great watch. Nightbitch. Heard big things about this when it was in the London Film Festival. Amy Adams settles into her 4th year of being a domestic mother, and it's not going well for her, to the point that she hates her kid, is hallucinating daily, and is now turning into a dog at nighttime. Zendaya is Michi. Rihanna is Smurfette. Amy Adams is Nightbitch. This film is very focused on the frustrations of parenting that don't get discussed enough. I just wish it was a little bit more subtle. I am not a mother. I will never be Nightbitch. But it's still painfully wordy, right? If this film does something, it'll tell you all about it. The premise also relies on the preppy mama bear humor that makes me cringe. I just hate films about gender roles.
Do you ever feel like the big secret is that we are gods? Like, we fucking create life. We make life. We are so powerful.
How gutsy are these life realizations about men and women when I could have come to these conclusions and probably written this script when I was 16. Much like American Fiction and this next one actually, it's another lead character who needs to get humbled. Quick. She thinks she's above all of the other mothers in her mother's group, and she just really isn't. Ditch the Nightbitch. Amy Adams, I am so sorry. You are talented, you are wonderful, you are beautiful. You keep making whatever dog shit you want to make, honey. From the Ashes. Doesn't look or play like a real movie, but listen, it was a dead February, okay? I was desperate. At a fascist all-girls school, the class tried to uncover the cause of a mysterious fire. Usually, twist drama tends to be a pretty classy label. I just want to make it clear that this is not the case. This was a trashy fun film that just became a trashy bad one 4 subversions in. It's so limp when an ending twist hits in the final few seconds and you just kind of shrug. You shrug it off. On to the next Netflix bit of background noise. These 19 minutes hardly seem worth 90 words of review. Ultimately, I don't think it's trying to be evil. But if I died in a fire and all it came of it was this tepid tale of blunt sexism and bullying, I'd be livid. The real payoff was in reading the funny Letterboxd reviews. No one knows what this film is. What am I even doing? Let's keep this anger. Let's keep it going, because that would be true to form for 2024. Argylle. Full body cringe that doesn't need interrogating any further. But let's do it anyway. Gaudy, cheap, trash, cliche after cliche. I will go to bat for Matthew Vaughn. I think he has the filmography that, even though, yes, he's Edgar Wright style annoying, the guy has made some revolutionary fun. But here, he seems to be flubbing all of his unlikable beats like an edgy comedian bored of his own set. I guess you could call this a twist drama as well. But you need at least a little bit of investment before you uproot an audience. Here, you don't have that, Matt. Instead, we get dead-eyed, intense close-ups and uncomfortable set pieces. There's obnoxiously camp shots in all of the Kingsman films as well. But we've hit the cartoon wall. We've hit the logical wall. There's no charm, all smarm. That's good, that's killer. Put that on my gravestone. There's clearly nobody telling Vaughn no anymore as he sets up residence in his own arsehole. In the end credits, he seems to create his own cinematic universe that we'll never see again. Seeing the audience Google the end credits at the end, I think it was more so out of politeness. A 2010 Max Landis ass film. Whoa, woof. And hey, if we're doing bad movies for a bit, let's keep it going with the film Rumours. Rumours was the closest I came to a walkout this year. Japan, the UK, the US, Germany and France convene for the G7 summit. And then there's masturbating zombies for a bit, a sing-song, and then they wander around the woods. In fact, mostly walking around the woods. Ugh, this doesn't even warrant discussion. Listen, I'm not dumb, I know what you're doing. It's akin to a Jim Jarmusch shitpost, or last year's Smoking Causes Coughing. Thank you, Quentin Dupieux. I feel Quentin duped. But you know what was really funny? The fact that this little prank of a film, it was just deathly dull. Your joke was boring. I live my life in accordance with the Dadaist art movement. I don't think people deserve good media either. But in that little mini theatre that shows international film, your prank is only reaching the people who are trying to find better. I know that open contempt is the name of the game, but I promise you that it's not doing enough to make that clear. What the fuck was Oscar-winning Cate Blanchett up to? No, Rumours doesn't get any more minutes from me. I gotta start walking out more. We gotta start standing up for ourselves. Megalopolis! That sound was the last of my goodwill, leaving the atmosphere. It blasted off. Hey, in the club, we're all fam. I hope that all of these legacy boomers bankrupt themselves creatively. I tried, okay? Oh, I tried and tried. I followed the festival buzz and scandals both. I bought day one tickets, only for it all to be an embarrassing testament to authorship and ego. Maybe we do just let the grandfathers of Hollywood fade away gracefully. After this, maybe it's the kind thing. Megalopolis is the product of someone who has been told that he made the greatest film of all time, on loop for 50 years. We gotta check up on these maniacs, on these megalomaniacs. That old man pretentiousness goes crazy. Imagine getting to age 90 and still wanting to make films like this. It's positively adolescent. Whether you liked or disliked this movie, it should just be more interesting, I think, for one of the big guns to self-finance something this big with no restrictions or oversight. But apparently, the story he wanted to tell is the power fantasy of a teenager, like Neil Breen and Shakespeare and the Star Wars prequels, all rolled up into one. It wasted 3 hours of my life, and now I'm 90 years old. Trap. Megalopolis, yeah, it was a trap, but then there was Trap, which was a movie called Trap. So I'm as close to a hater of M. Night Shyamalan as you'll find. My friends rinse me for it. I don't even like signs. So with Trap, it felt liberating to finally be in on the joke for once. This was not a so bad it's good movie. No, this was something else entirely. It's simply the most fun film, minute to minute, in recent memory. Often in spite of the leaps in logic. Sometimes it's fun because of its plot holes. It truly might be a piece of art that only M. Night Shyamalan could make. It's in a position where it wears its flaws as strengths. And, is that what you all see in him? Is it unironic? Trapp finally makes the awkward eccentricities of his dialogue work in its favour. A super neurodivergent cat and mouse thriller that needs the lead to make constant decisions and lean into miracle coincidences like it's a Telltale game. Camp, camp, camp. The plot of this is solved by Stan Twitter. Yeah, my time getting duped by this man is over. Until he releases his next one, at least. I've been talking about a lot of great performances so far. Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction. But Josh Hartnett in this, it's the best. It's the best performance of the year. But it's not like I expected it to grab an Oscar. He's just a perfect match for the material. He knows what project he's in and he knows how to make it as fun as possible. Is this movie a shameless attempt to boost his daughter's music career? Absolutely. But when the core of the story is about preserving a father-daughter relationship, the Nepo shit, it almost feels appropriate. Damn, he really can't do anything wrong with this. It's sweet, and I think kind of curious if you view Cooper as a self-insert for M. Night himself. Balancing his crazy maniac career with being a family man. The lengths that a serial killer will go to combine his two lives. I love the silly premise, and through bizarre events, it does everything it can with the premise. I love where it goes. It's a genius comedy that seems intentional for once. This was good, this was good, this was good, this was great. Didn't really get this, I just don't see the value in going back to Fury Road. I have the DVD for Fury Road, Miller. I can rewatch it already whenever I want to. Jim Cameron just made the same movie twice in a row, so hey, the big dogs can spend their twilight years doing whatever they like. But I do kind of feel like I'm intruding. Stolen. 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 Watch. Stolen. It is on Netflix. I'm not going to give you anything else. Let the enigma do the rest. You will never hear anybody ever mention this movie again, so... Stolen. Your window on this earth is closing.
Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood.
Hitman's perfect. Hitman was also a little bit forgettable, but that's fine if it just leads you to rediscovering and rewatching a film that is a 10 out of 10. Hitman is probably as close to perfect as a movie can get. It's a neo-noir, moonlighting as a rom-com, or maybe an elevated rom-com, like you get elevated horror, maybe this is that? It's hot and sexy in a way that only the classiest of Hollywood is. And movies can be as simple as getting the two perfect Hollywood stars, giving them the sharpest, funniest script imaginable. That's it. That's all you need. We used to be really good at this. Richard Linklater has so much range, is what I'm discovering from this. Going back to comedy and romance, two genres that the guy has already mastered, and then letting it turn into something more complicated. It makes such a cool, captivating movie. And movie is the word, isn't it? With a capital M. Because Powell is a movie star. So sexy that he turned down World's Sexiest Man whilst playing a dorky philosophy teacher. The soul of Hollywood still exists. I believe that. And I dare you not to fall madly for Adria Arjona, who was the standout of everything she showed up in this year. If their chemistry wasn't so magnetic, I wouldn't be talking about this movie. It's a film that makes other films look silly. Up front, the movie Hitman tells you, yeah, of course hitmen don't exist, what, are you stupid? But you start with such a silly, small premise, and it just sort of unravels into a question of, can a man rewrite his nature? Can you change who you are, really? And for how long? Yeah, man, I don't know. If movies like Hitman are getting made, even if they're just for Netflix, cinema is alive and well. Heretic. Heretic is hard to imagine without Hugh Grant in the lead role. Oh, look at that, more star power. Was this movie written with anybody else in mind? Seriously, tell me in the comments, can you picture anybody else in this role? Maybe like Mark Strong? It's always interesting and surprising to watch movies through. You hear them out, and you see which ones actually have something on their mind. Does this movie have a lot to say? Heretic doesn't have that much. There's captivating actors that could fill out 100 minutes before you even realise, but I don't think this film has much on its mind at all. Yeah, I'm really turning on things that default to cookie-cutter morals at the end. Films that provoke interesting questions, but then have rudimentary, universal truths. I didn't sit for a feature-length Hugh Grant TED Talk to get, well, if religion gives you comfort, I guess it's okay. That's not an interesting moral. That's just not an interesting takeaway. We'll accept the implausibility of a post-faith world. It's not enough. This film didn't have enough of an answer. We knew this as teenagers. Seeing a Mormon adult get up to speed with that isn't challenging material. Heretic earns so much tension and never abuses that investment with a cheap jump scare or a schlocky genre change. 80% of this film is really riveting stuff. But when the villain's motivation is, hey, debate me, you better come to a really good conclusion, otherwise it just becomes annoying. Also, Hugh Grant has never seen Star Wars. I know this because at one point he has to do a Jar Jar Binks impression, and it sounds like this.
Order! Excuse me.
Never mind.
That impression was more bizarre than the third act twist.
Star Wars!
When I told the boys you were coming, they got so excited.
Some real slim pickings in that Aussie dating pool, eh? This film is gnarly. Nobody else knows about this movie, this little Australian export. So I feel kind of privileged right now. Birdeater is great. This film is a deeply distressing bachelor's party with a lot to love. Mostly Ben Hunter's crazy, druggy eyes that belong in either movies or behind bars. This film, it's another uncomfortable mind game. It's just men being men and boys being boys. At one point, someone calls their close friend a dog cunt and means it. Nah, everything's a laugh, isn't it? Blokes, you just wouldn't get it, I reckon. Nor would you want to. This movie follows Louis, who invites a rogue selection of characters to his Bucks party. He is a dark control freak who winds up in an uncontrollable situation with just ketamine, dark secrets, and a vehicle.
What have we got here, eh? Handle of city slickers.
This goes feral in very scrappy improv ways. The sort of film that you just know had half a script. Or maybe they left half of that shit on the day. I'm surprised that A24 have not picked this thing up. It's a lot looser, maybe more obscure than the sort of things they put out. But oh my god, guys. Your film is interesting, but put on some background music, huh? Calling this film dry is an understatement. But the drama's really good. So even if it is a bit one note, that one note of awkwardness is really good stuff. Yeah, man, great performances, great direction, quotable lines. We just need some sound. It's great, but not a very cohesive debut. It looks great, however your mileage may vary depending on spending 2 hours with the denizens of Rick's smoking area. Is it just a trope of Australian media that a bunch of Aussie 30-somethings go to the woods and then fucked things happen? Is that trope? Or is that just all there is to do in some parts of Australia? Oh, I'm hot. Is anyone else hot? The Truth versus Alex Jones. Look, man, it was early 2024. We were still living in the adorable notion that this era of MAGA politics was ending, or that the most obviously criminal opportunists in the world could finally, maybe, be held accountable. It was starting. At the beginning of 2024, it looked feasible. The Truth vs. Alex Jones is a little glimpse into how the world should actually function. It's utopian. Alex Jones, ex-broadcaster, is the outlier. We got his ass! This documentary follows the court trials that financially ruined Alex Jones and took one major grifter off the board. It's the feel-good film of the year. To see that mania squirm in its seat this much is one thing, but you wouldn't believe how disgraceful and messy one court performance could get. It's a rare happy ending. The riot will inevitably cut and ditch their losses. This dismantling of their infrastructure is the only way to go. There's real investigative journalism and legal heroes on the ground doing more than any retweets. I think they're absolute heroes. If I've spoken about films that don't reward you with the payoff, you see, this one does. This film is the opposite. Watch The Truth vs. Alex Jones. You owe it to yourself. Crisis on Infinite Earths. DC Animated, what are you doing? Aside from Long Halloween, I'm trying to remember what the last good one of these was. If I'm being polite, I think this seems like an unforgiving adaptation. It's really unfocused. You have 3, 4, 5 main characters who all hold the narrative captive. But Crisis on Infinite Earths, back in the comics, it was a big event bit of cleanup. It was a crossover to iron things out and make things more organised in the future going forward. This movie doesn't have to worry about that at all. Instead, it's trying to be incredibly faithful with no real need for it to do so. Crisis on Infinite Earths doesn't have a beginning, middle and end. It's not a captivating story in its own right, it's more about how it moved the pieces. But it's got that nerd name recognition. So it seems like they're treating it as if it was sacred. I watch all of these Batman animateds, and I think they get grief when they deviate from the original comics. Hush was a different reveal. There was a different man behind that mask in their version. And so they've become clearly very de-spirited in doing their own thing. I just don't see the love in this. I really don't. There's not much craft either. Crisis on Infinite Earths has been outdone since it first released. It was just the first. Evidently, now that it's been brought into the harsh light of day, it was never the best. Although it does have a character called Psycho Pirate, who becomes instrumental to the plot and is treated very seriously. The comic story isn't so much a cosmic, multiversal disaster. There's not even a real conflict. The plot is about superpowered experts making some changes to infrastructure. They build, they do planning permission against an apocalypse. It's very strange to spread out across 3 parts. How about this? It's an awkward continuity bomb treated as a classic story. Yeah, there we go. I don't have any answers, but hey, maybe there was no questions to ask in the first place. It's just a bad idea. Flow. A film about a cat that constantly kept me thinking. Mainly things like, oh no, the poor cat. And I hope the little cat will be okay. I just ordered Flow on Blu-ray. One of the cleanest, most gorgeous movies can be watched time and time again. What a time to be alive. I actually wrote here, back when I first did these notes, should win the Oscar, won't. The Oscars got 2024 right. Flow is serene and dangerous in equal measure. It has such a fresh sense of adventure to it when I truly didn't know what this strange CG landscape would bring next. It's a simple and unpredictable film. I think it's very likely not what you think it is. That little cat, whose name I can only assume is Flo, builds a crew in a manner that could be described as Monkey D. Luffy-esque. It's another one of those films I want to inhabit. I want to get into the screen and go swimming. Just me, the cat, the monkey, maybe the capybara who learned to sail. Yeah, We're all besties. In the club, we all fam. Specifically, I want to chart the world map like it's a video game. You know, it feels like a video game at times. Flow. Can't wait till I get to rewatch Flow. I'm the Joker, baby. Watch my sequel, maybe. Listen, okay? You fucking meanies. I just like Arthur Fleck, okay? I didn't come to this movie with any more expectations than that. It was embarrassing enough the first time, admitting how much I was shocked by Joker's quality. How frustratingly misrepresented it was by everyone. I just came to check up on my guy Arthur, a wellness check. He's not doing so good.
They don't care.
But with Folia Dude, I don't know what happened here. I really don't. There's something about this series that just makes people lose their mind, like the Joker does to people. There's just nobody agreeing to engage with these films on their own level. I think that you are being foiled by Hollywood's biggest dunce. Because this film is not only good, it's really honest about itself. Todd Phillips even starts the flick with a cartoon that directly explains the film's themes and ending out loud. Because he correctly knew that culture converged to misrepresent it last time round. It's a middle finger studio film, so I understand how it can split the room. Frankly, comic book fans deserve that. And I thought the cartoon was cool. Yeah, hey look, Arthur and the Joker aren't the same person. Last time it was about comedy and this time it's about music. Look at that. The world is perverted and ruined yet another comfort of Arthur Fleck's. It's always been a self-conscious character piece, wearing its influences on its sleeve, but the comic book dressing, it just loses people. Even sensible people. I will slam it as a musical though. God. Lady Gaga's on the track and there's not one memorable tune. I'm not convinced that Todd Phillips actually enjoys musicals.
And everyone laughs when he's down.
It's a musical in the sense that it's doing them for aesthetic. There's not one hummable tune, and the cast and crew clearly don't understand them. You got that much from the interviews. Folia Do is nothing that the first one wasn't. The best part was the court scene, where Arthur Fleck goes to do another Joker monologue and gives up on his own shtick halfway through. Amazingly well acted. That was a 10 out of 10. Still, it's a weird one. I would not put it on for fun. Did people think we were watching a comic traditional origin story this whole time? In what world would the power fantasy be depicted positively? Come on now. Do I think it's something really worth defending? No, sir. Does it justify its own sequel? Foley, no. I think this loud directorial middle finger sets the record straight on the first. I remember rolling my eyes and saying this in 2019, and the film agreed with me, even in that sentiment. I like these movies. They're a little dull, and they did mess with the culture intentionally. The Joker baby would be proud. But the movie does nothing the first one didn't. He's just singing this time. I liked music as a theme, even if the film's musical parts were very superficial. But again, just like comedy in the first one, it's about the perversion of something designed to bring people joy being twisted. Gaga's musical daydreams are trouble. The whistling prison warden sings music as he hurts you. They're the same movie. This mass reaction really confuses me. Basic cultural remixing has people stumped and appalled. Don't get hung up on the most obvious, appropriate, and signposted ending in the whole genre. Basically, Joker 2 made me realise that a lot of smart people saw the first one as an earnest rise to power story, and that's why he was depicted so pathetically at first. No, guys. No, he's not gonna meet Batman. And here I am defending fucking Todd Phillips. Christ. Next year, I'll be reappraising Adam Wingard or some shit. Or M. Night Shyamalan. Come on, guys. There's so much more to this Paul Feig movie. The Hidden Genius of Colin Trevorrow. You've had Joker number 2. Let's talk about Juror number 2. I'm the Juror, baby. Steady on, everyone. Let's not go calling this Clint Eastwood's final film. Okay? He might be 100, but that hasn't stopped him before. Other films of his might have had more to say, but any interrogation of a good man as a film will have my attention. It's a cat and mouse detective thriller, located in the courtroom itself. Nicholas Hoult. We had the perfect Light Yagami casting in front of us this whole time.
Sometimes I wonder why you even bother to get up in the morning.
And now it's too late. Juror number 2 has lots of interesting ideas, but no momentum. It's often frustrating because of it. Because the cast is so talented. And the script is, for the most part, really engaging. A man is picked for jury service with a pregnant wife nearing labour at home. As the trial begins, a hit-and-run case, Nicholas Hoult starts to suspect that he is the one guilty of the crime brought to trial. There's a lot of different accounts of justice at play here. The difference between what is good and what is right, that's an interesting hook for a movie. What is the end goal of truth? That's a great theme for a movie. It's fascinating watching this perfect, expectant Ned Flanders of a father start to justify his selfishness to himself. It's all just a bit too narrative focused for such an intimate film. And you will hear every possible excuse for his behaviour before the inevitable happens. Even good, well-meaning people can ruin the justice system. It only works if everybody believes in it. All of the talk of death statistics and coincidences, the film never stops to acknowledge its own huge coincidence of a premise. 2 people were driving on this road this night, and one of those men just so happens to be summoned for jury duty. It's fine, it's a movie, unlikely things can happen, but none of our characters even factor in unlikelihoods, and it gets annoying. I thought it was heading in a different direction. I thought that was on purpose, and the ending would have showed him to not be guilty. It wasn't him at the scene, and it was just coincidence and paranoia. The guy is innocent, but has tampered with a lot of crime scenes and has become a bad, lying, deceitful man who is now gonna, get arrested for interfering with a court case. That's an ending. Instead, it just cuts to black. Red Rooms. Red Rooms is one of the finest films of the decade. I know this to be true already. I got obsessed with this one whilst it was on, to an almost scary degree. An unspeakable video of a young girl's torture and execution is put online. One woman living alone will stop at nothing to get her hands on that footage. Red Rooms is a hunt not for resolution or answers, but motivation. It's a why done it, I suppose. The film never questions the motivation of the killers, just the sociopathic means to which an investigator will go to find the evidence. But why? What could drive people to such twisted ends? Why does this woman want that footage? It's another absolute killer film about desensitization and the horrors that follow. I loved my own dark fascination into her dark fascination, if that's even the word. If what I said is true and films are about context and empathy, then the 100-odd minutes where I was in the dark here helped define my year. I think I learned stuff about myself in Red Rooms. It's a voyeur nightmare. Now, do I lose you completely if I say that it's a film about watching people watch things? Because it is. It's bizarre that it's as intellectually and psychologically meaty as it is. Our lead character remains the only one logical and cold enough to complete her task, whilst everyone else, you and I included, expects to find answers through the emotional angle. How could this happen? Why did this happen? Maybe this is just Juror number 2 again. Red Rooms decides that you cannot understand evil. You should not and cannot. But those who seek out justice can understand the obsession and compulsion involved. They might share that. And that's a freaky realization to me. One psychopath versus another. And Red Rooms it feels like a red rabbit hole. I could feel myself becoming a nutter, descending into her obsession, and it scared me a bit. The only thing separating A Hunt for a Snuff film feels like a very thin line when you're watching this, between good guy and bad guy. My favourite character of the year has almost no dialogue and invested all of her money into crypto, so that's fun. Next time I watch this movie, I will try work out the role of AI in this, and what that says. Is it a person of the digital age cleaning up one of their own messes? That's my review of Red Rooms. Shaking my hands. Challenges! In which Zendaya lives vicariously through two bizarre-looking lover tennis boys. The most functional polycule put to screen yet. And this thing's fucking horrendous. Great film, though. I've heard tons of people say the line about it's a sex twist drama with no sex in it. Yeah, sure. It's the steamiest film of the year, but the tennis sequences in this film, they are the sex scenes. Made very unsubtle when the film lets loose 2 hours of insane tension in that final game. To the sound of the best house album of the year. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross went crazy on this soundtrack, and it feels like I dropped a tab of something. It's the most interesting approach to a sports film I've ever seen, especially when the director confesses that he can't stand tennis. Respectfully, you can tell, but that doesn't mean he can't shoot the shit out of it. Challengers got snubbed at the Oscars entirely. It's the best that Zendaya has ever been. This is what separates the Zendayas of the world from, well, the Ariana Grandes. This ultra-intense, ultra-expressive queen owned film in 2024. Her year, her game, her rules, her Dune. The real standout strength of this, though, is its authenticity. Not in the tennis rulings, God no. But how real and impulsive each scene is. When improvised moments fill up the movie, I think that's what makes this deeply unsexy love triangle sexy. The film feels like it's always alive, breathing, and making strange, cool choices. That's even present in the amazing edit.
That was 9 cuts in 2 seconds.
This editor is going eccentric. It might look odd, out of context, to see Zendaya crossfade teleport down a hall, or to go Barry B. Benson mode. God knows what the fuck Queer was about, though. The coffee table. We're coming to the end. We almost got this. Holy shit. All I will tell you about Kay Cass's The Coffee Table is just how it was pitched to me. Imagine a dark comedy that has the worst possible thing that could ever happen to someone happen in the first 15 minutes. The stuff that only the most self-destructive of nightmares could conjure up. In fact, that's the only appropriate comparison. Many times I have had this dream where something unspeakable has happened and your life is practically over, ending in real time around you. The anxiety antichrist, as all you can do is helplessly watch your end play out around you. And the world even has a little laugh at you on your way out. Please see this one for yourself, if you have the stomach for it. I mean, lots of good films are just about punishing yourself. I don't want to ever really investigate that aspect of myself, but it's true. Why do I empathize with this so much? Why do I relate to this film? Again, I must clarify, Sony is a client. And that's why I'm thrilled to tell you that my friend and I stood up and gave this film a standing ovation. This is my So Bad It's Good movie of the year. I had to root for this one, but I would have anyway. Not just this, but oh no, we got treated to 2 films. Kraven the Hunter also came out in 2024. I manned the official Sony channels for the Spider-Man brand for a time. In that time, the K-word was expressly forbidden. Kraven the Hunter was an abyss. We did not know if this film was going to come out, or whether it'd end up in that 2013 Arrested Development like the Gambit movie. But these films they may as well have come out in the 2000s, off the back of Daredevil. Shat out with no marketing or care whilst Venom 3 was still in theatres. And people must be so burned out because I didn't see anybody talking about it. No one noticed it coming and going, which is weird when I slotted it in as my final cinema trip of the year, and it was unironically decent? Nothing revolutionary here, and I'm mostly done with the superhero movie moment. But watching this schlocky thing impress me was a bizarre surprise. I kinda want my money back. Aside from the bad CGI and the forced allusions to the comics, everyone says I am a chameleon. This just isn't Madam Web. This is closer to a successful movie than anyone could have imagined. Russian rich kid gets chewed up by a lion, bestowing onto him the vague powers of animal totems. There's a lot of dense origin flashbacks, but it's a lot of good family mob superhero drama with Russell Crowe. When they share a scene, I kind of buy it. It's a cartoon, but I'm buying it. It made me realise that I hadn't seen a comic book movie in an age. Guardians or the Marvels or Ant-Man, they don't play as comics. Kraven is dorky and sincere. It's cool and silly in all of the ways that the panels would be. Aaron Taylor-Johnson looks crazy throughout, walking like a pouting London hard man in every scene. But even he's outdone by a fun, fruity rhino.
All of our guys are dead.
Think Matt Smith and Morbius level fruitiness. They let these guys go ham. This guy, though, he's not a baddie. He's scarcely an anti-hero. He has no reason to avoid Spider-Man. They would have no beef. Cut to Peter Parker, bored, sitting on his bed. As for Madam Web, there's nothing I can say that you haven't already joked about 5 times over. A true miracle of bad movie making. But it still does have 2 cool visuals, a fun inclusion of Uncle Ben, and it does actually have a good needle drop. Will somebody please stop letting them get away with all of this brand damage? It legitimately makes my job harder. Anyway, drink Coke. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about my girlfriend, Anora. Gonna get in trouble for that one. One of the year's best. I've rewatched it. It all holds up. Sean Baker is one of the most important filmmakers of our time. And now a Academy-recognized, Oscar-winning director. The Academy never got it this right before. Russian-American dancer Arnie allows herself to fall for a young client. An idiot playboy Russian oligarch. But not Kraven the Hunter, another guy. And just like her, I seemed to forget the movie that I was in. As slow and frivolous as it may seem, the first 30 minutes with these two until they get married in Vegas is the most easy to empathize with thing in Baker's whole filmography. Hard-edged and sentimental film. It's also laugh out loud hilarious. She and you just want one win for her. Just one win for Arnie. All of the kids from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood have ruled Hollywood this year. They've all branched out and taken over. But after Scream, I'm keeping my eye on Mikey Madison. She makes me laugh, cry, yearn and seethe in 2 hours 19 minutes. Everything in this room will hold up as some of the best film work of this decade. Spoilers, but also not really if you've ever seen any Sean Baker's work. It takes a difficult, thorny shift into working class solidarity. That second act is strange and uncertain, but where all of my favourite stuff is. I loved how every single character underestimates Arnie and how much she fights to deny her own stereotyping. 2 hours of holding on to hope that was probably misplaced to begin with is always a sad story, but this one is executed in a particularly dehumanizing way, and Baker adamantly refuses it. He took me on that entire ride emotionally headfirst. Hearing Madison talk about her role and the approach she took is fascinating, honestly, and I'm gonna scour my Criterion Collection Blu-ray until I learn everything there is to know. I'm just gonna say it. There's a version of this film that ends with a gun. You'd be justified, Arnie, but this one chooses to end in intimate touch and tears. Oh. And my heart shatters into a million pieces. This is Anora, not Arnie. And it hurts to see the armor destroyed. But yeah, it still blows my mind that this won Best Picture. It blows me away. The Amy Winehouse film. I know I said I don't like musical biopics, and yet I still found myself watching this avidly with a 60-year-old man. I did know the man. It wasn't just like a... Anyway, I avoided this on original release because I'm not a big Amy fan, even though I recognise her as a local hero. But more so because I didn't want to see the same musical biopic that I've been seeing year after year. This one has a small positive to it. The alcoholism is not viewed as the main antagonist of this film. The main threat is her addiction to a guy. The real wrong guy. Played very well, very theatrical performance, but I've met him. Meaning that there's actually somebody to talk to. Usually it's all very internalized, a lot of moping. An evil record producer. No, none of that here really. I'd call it an average film, but it's brought up majorly by the main performance. Who is she? Why didn't I know about her yesterday? That's actually her voice? What do you mean, actress Marissa Abella trained to sing like Amy Winehouse? Absolute dead ringer. That's a superpower. Not to treat it like a concert movie, but that's what most people are going to treat this as. No, it's more a cultural goodwill project. The film's very preoccupied with painting some dignity and some respect on her name. You know, probably a good thing this film exists. They've got a lot of catching up to do, media-wise. Unicorns! Yay! I found a wonderful hidden gem. I love it when I do that. British bloke Luke gets lucky with Aisha, who he later realizes is a femme drag queen. He doesn't have a good reaction to this information. Past their first meeting, this film doesn't languish in all of the grim beats you're expecting. There's another one that came out recently that you might be mixing it up with. Femme? Was that one called Femme? No, Unicorns is a delight. It's tender and it's tough, but it's worth it, without ever being miserable. Blur your eyes, and this is actually a, dare I say it, rom-com? No, this one actually could be, because it risks cliche, but then, you know, I think that's probably how you normalize this sort of stuff to most people. Not that most people were seeing a film called Unicorns, of course. No, this screening was empty. It's culture shock on three fronts. Intersectionality leads to great drama, who knew? But I'm a sucker for earnest romance stories where characters speak how I do. I look at this and think this is what all soap operas should aspire to be, could be. Hell, I think if a soap actor like Ben Hardy can do this much, there's hope for anyone. Nobody in this country needs to be making junk. There's no excuse. Man, I hope these two and their kid do Disneyland. Too cute for words. My most anticipated movie of the year. It was fine. Apart from a banging soundtrack and a couple big set pieces, there's not much separating this from the scale or production values of the TV show. It's a gag series, a very cute and popular gag series, but it doesn't really lend itself to obvious movie material. I liked it plenty though, because now that we have the Chainsaw Mans and the Demon Slayers, Jujutsu Kaisens, the first Slam Dunks, this felt a bit old school. This felt like your gang go on their little filler adventure to the land of Snowdonia. That's a place. The Kingdom of Ice. And then we wave goodbye to them after 90 minutes and we will never see those people again. That's effectively every movie if you think about it. But as much fun as I was having, I couldn't quite work out whether I missed that era of inconsequential filler movies that understood what they were as a bit of summer spectacle, getting to see characters we like in a adjacent to the plot adventure. I just felt like maybe a movie would have been a cool way to test the series, whether it's an actual spy thriller that also happens to have Anya and the Minority Report dog, or maybe even the fantasies of Anya. Imagine that, a big budget, non-literal take on how Anya sees the world. I would have taken a movie of that. But what we have is another Spy X Family story. And I like Spy X Family. Listen, this premise and these characters, they are pretty evergreen, but I do understand the frustrations at people wanting progression. On that front, this movie actually is a bit series-breaking. As in, there's no plausible deniability as to why all three of them get to the finale. This ultra-secret, high-danger finale, all of their covers would realistically be blown during Code White. Next time, bring the dog. And last of the features is the substance. If Anora was a weird Oscar winner, then I don't know what's happening. This was great fun. It's so good. I'm never going to rewatch it because I won't be able to replicate the cinematic experience of a whole cinema of locals horrified at what they were watching. My dad, my poor dad, Demi Moore was his childhood crush. And to study that man's face as a later life Demi Moore becomes a puddle of goo. That's what the movies are about. It felt like a big practical joke that I was in on. And I can't thank it enough for that. It's well made. It articulates its point very well. It's just a simple point. I think every decision it makes is the most fun one it could have. We live in topsy-turvy land, but a bunch of really cool films are finally getting the kind of mainstream recognition that I'm always rooting for. Poor Things, Anora, The Substance, and people are caring about filmmakers like Sean Baker. General audiences care about Lanthimos. The movies are doing great. And lastly, I went to a short film festival that left me bereft, in tears. The best film I saw this year, well, it was All of Us Strangers, but the second best film I saw this year was a short film. I don't know if you can watch this anywhere, directed by Alex Lawther. It's about a young tenant and an old landlord. And it made me so angry, and somehow, through great filmmaking, I cared about both perspectives. Yeah, one wolf had me furious, seething, and the other wolf had me in some weird, sadder bubble. Existentialism about her life being over, and having lived it strictly for reasons that she can't remember. Ugh, my god, get it away from me. What a great film. But then also in that film festival, we had Cara Vide, An Immigrant Tale, about solidarity and dignity. See It, Say It. Oh my god, shattered me. If this isn't online, I will freak. I watched a whole auditorium of people's faces fall in unison. That one's by Nez Kamal, who also was just really funny in person. Definitely one to keep an eye on. There was Corey's by Conor O'Malley, which felt like a drug trip through my phone and into Las Vegas. Bird Drone, about a little bird who falls in love with a drone. Really beautiful stuff. That will be in the description. I love Bird Drone. Then there's The After by Misan Harriman. Sakir. That's by Edith Morris. And it looks like this. Thanks, Edith. Hollow. Sometimes I just Google short films, British short film with the current year, and you'll find some really good stuff. Directed by Luke Radford.
Kyla, let's fucking go upstairs. I've asked you fucking more than once. Let's fucking go.
Amazing, poignant shorts about how every kid is potentially a ticking time bomb, and it's urgent that you get them on the straight and narrow as quick as possible. It's a bit like a PSA, a really, really well-made PSA. The Spider Within. This was Sony, the Spider-Verse creators over at Sony Animation, got a bunch of young talent to make a mental health short film about Miles and his anxiety kind of catching up with him via his dreams. Given all of the tools that the pros have, Juror, Dampier, everyone in these credits, they can play with the big boys. This thing is presented so gorgeously. So creative. That's what the cultural handover looks like. There's the vanishing of the SS Willy, which is one of those like horror Steamboat Willie things that came out now that it's in the Creative Commons, now that anybody can use it. But this one's very particular. It's odd. Never trashy. This is Michael Mouse. Outside Noise. Ethan Evans, director of Outside Noise. You were sat in front of me at the showing of this at the Shorts Film Festival, and I regret not shaking your hand. The mission statement of Outside Noise was as simple as, horror has become more intense around the world, and Britain needs to keep up. I can't believe that this was made independently. On how much money? It's so intense, so striking, and it scared the shit out of me. If there's any justice in the world, you are going to have a feature in like 5 years flat. There's Champions, which is a mockumentary about a guy going pro in the Digimon trading card game circuit. Quitting his job, testing his marriage with his wife, Velma Dinkley from Scooby-Doo. And it's just like it's like a training movie. He's getting into shape, he's learning his cards. He's going to locals. Very silly, super fun. Not where I expected to find a short film this year. But I was going crazy for card games in 2024. So I got this film. This film spoke to me. Thord. I like the people in Thord. The joke's pretty thin. And the effect is the whole film. But yeah, watch Thord, I guess. Let them eat cake. Cool animation. Jeff Bezos goes a bit nuts, but I don't know. I feel like humiliate him, expose him, or get the fuck out. You could show this to Jeff Bezos and I'm sure he'd get a kick out of it. And lastly, I guess, I guess Look Back is a shorts. Mentioned it briefly earlier, but Fujimoto entering the world of film is the most natural fit in the world. He's the guy who did Chainsaw Man. I really love some of his one-shots. I'm reading Fire Punch at the minute. Fujimoto feels like the future of Japanese media. I'll be frank, it really does. He's a writer who always goes for the throat. And watching Look Back, something that's semi-autobiographical, maybe we know the reason why he writes like that. So, yeah, let's keep going. Pop in the next one. Thank you as ever. I'm sorry these are so long. What is my problem anyway?